Well, it's time for day two here at the NBL Blitz. The Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre is going to be jam-packed, and we are right in the middle of Australia's favourite playground, Alice Kunak. Two really good games coming up today. Let's start with the first one, Adelaide and New Zealand. A couple of familiar faces coming back to the league.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Obviously, Trenton flowers into the league as the next star, and I'm really looking forward to that matchup between Finn Delaney and Jacob Wiley.
And then coming up later on this afternoon, the Perth Wildcats in action against the Cairns Taipans. We've already seen the Wildcats in some pre-season games, and they look pretty good.
They do. I actually tipped them to win, and John really for Coach of the Year, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them in the flesh.
You're going to see both games all afternoon long on KO Freebies. This is the NBL Blitz.
Up to date with all the latest direct from the NBL?
That is enormous!
Well, download the free NBL app now. It's jam-packed with live scores, stats, exclusive content, and much more. Get it from the App Store and Google Play now.
So great to be with you for day two here at the NBL Blitz. The Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre is expecting another big crowd. I'm Jack Heverin alongside NBL legend Derek Rucker. This is going to be fun. Our first look at the Adelaide 36ers, Derek, and also the New Zealand Breakers, fresh off their championship their grand final series last year.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to watch both of these teams play. And realistically, Jack, let's be honest, both are in different situations. New Zealand are a powerhouse. They've recruited very well in the offseason. The addition of Finn Delaney is one that I think is humongous for this franchise. The Adelaide 36ers, well, they're still trying to find their way. They've got nice depth. I like what they've done with their roster, but as we know, that jump from outside the six, just trying to get into a play-in situation, is a big leap to take.
Still coming up today, Cairns and Perth later on this afternoon. Derek, you'll be in commentary for both of those games. Lee Montagna to join us a little bit later on. Alice Kunak courtside this afternoon as well. The team is locked and loaded. Let's start with the New Zealand Breakers. A little change in the off-season. The obvious one is that their three imports from last season, Derek Pardon, Barry Brown and also Jarrell Brantley, have not returned, but they have retooled nicely.
Yeah, there was a little bit of noise about those departures as well. We saw Barry Brown had some comments after his departure. Look, Jack, I would have liked to have seen at least one of those guys come back, namely Barry Brown. I loved what he did. I thought he was vital to their success last year, and they'll need to find someone to fill his shoes in terms of score making and that punch off the bench. And, you know, but as I said, they brought in Finn Delaney. Will McDowell-White should be better. I alluded to his case yesterday in our game. And I think overall they're a very well-balanced team, and they may have one of the best coaches in the competition as well.
Let's talk about their biggest inclusion. From a New Zealand point of view, that's Finn Delaney, who returns to the NBL, spent some time playing in Germany last season. We know his capabilities. At his very, very best, Finn Delaney is an elite player in this competition.
He is, and he's got the body and the athleticism to really make him a unique asset in the competition, and that's why New Zealand was so eager to get him back. And I know other teams were looking for him. I know the Brisbane Bullets made a play to try and get him up here to Queensland, but they were unsuccessful, and their lack of success is a big, big weapon in New Zealand's arsenal. Cam Glidden, he's like the 8th or 9th man on this team, and he's a very good player. He's a player that a lot of other teams would probably have as their 6th or 7th man. Of course, the evergreen Thomas Abercrombie. I thought he was retiring after last year. Jesus Christ, this guy keeps coming back.
He's playing game number 400 in round one. So
right, okay.
That's why he's back for another season. The other interesting pickup here, I think, from a New Zealand point of view is Justinian Jessup. We saw him play 2 seasons as a next star with Illawarra, a knockdown shooter, pick number 51 from the 2020 NBA draft. But now he's not a next star. Now he's a seasoned professional import. What should the expectations be?
Well, I expect that he would be a much more mature player, and I think even though he's really young, sometimes there can be expectations placed on some of our next stars because we've seen what the high-end next stars have gone on to do, LaMelo Ball and Josh Giddey primarily. But look, he's still very young, and Justinian has shown the ability to get things done. I think he had a pretty solid G League season, and it's a good pickup again for New Zealand. There's not a lot of pressure on him. If he can come and find his way into the lineup, he's one of those guys. He's one of those players that can be a really good contributor on a team that can make a deep championship run. And I'm sure Mody Maor has no other alternative mindset than trying to get back to where they were last year, because, Jack, a case could be made that they blew a championship.
Yeah, they were in it right until the very end in Game 5, weren't they?
10-point lead, I think, late in about halfway through the fourth quarter, and we were there. We know how quiet it was in Kudos Bank Arena, and to let that one get away, man, that must give you an upset stomach.
For the Breakers, no Will McDowell-White today. He's got a broken hand. They're hoping that he'll be available for round 1. Mantas Rubastavic not playing as well with a calf issue. The next star, a really exciting young prospect from Lithuania. We'll see him in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, you've been on phonetics.com. I see you. I see you. Hey, I'm glad you went there before I did, because I asked him 3 times, and the 4th time I asked him to pronounce, he looked at me like, dude, what's your problem? Why can you not get this pronunciation right? But he's supposed to be a legit talent. I've spoken to Will McDowell-White before the game, and he said Mantas is a very, very good player, good person, 21 years old, comes from a good program in Lithuania. And I'm really looking forward to him getting over this groin injury and being able to show what he can do.
We're going to see him very, very shortly. Let's get courtside for the first time this afternoon. Alice Kunik is here at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre for this one. Alice, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jack and Derek. How are we today? What a beautiful day on the Gold Coast.
What are we expecting this afternoon?
Well, firstly, I'm just excited to watch Trenton Flowers, the old highlight reel. I've just been watching him while you guys have been chatting, and he does not disappoint. But look, it's a new look, Adelaide 36ers. I'm excited to see how they find their feet in the league. They've had a bit of changes. I'm looking forward to that Finn Delaney and Jacob Wiley matchup. I think they'll go back and forth. Obviously, like you said, having Finn back in the league is a great addition. Obviously, big out for New Zealand with Will McDowell-White. But Mody Maor is a great coach, and I'm just looking forward to the show that he always produces. So I think it'll be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it.
And we were talking before the game this afternoon. You've tipped Perth to win the championship, but you're saying you want to change your prediction already.
Wow.
Honestly, can I change my prediction? They are a great team, and I love the way Mody coaches. It's got that European feel, the way he coaches that team. So I'm really looking forward to see, obviously the disappointment of losing that grand final last year would just be a little bit of sting in the back pocket, but I think they'll be a top contender this year.
We'll touch base with you all afternoon, Alice. Great to have you with us. The Adelaide 36ers playing without Trey Kell this afternoon. He's injured, as is Torrey Smith-Milner. They are a very interesting case right now, the Adelaide 36ers. Derek, I don't know about you, but it feels hard to get a read on where they sit right now.
It is, Jack, and right now a lot of pundits are kind of having them sitting 8th, 9th, around that position. And I'm not willing to be that firm with my perspective on the Sixers. I really want to see how they look this week. One thing I do know is that they'll play with a lot of intensity. They should be a high-energy team. Jacob Willie was very successful in his first stint in the competition. He played for Joey Wright, did a lot of good stuff. Looks like he's a little bit slimmer than he once was, but Mitch McCarron's got to be a better player than he was last year. Isaac Humphries is a great addition. The only thing that's ever held Isaac back from high-level success is health. And if you can get him healthy over the course of an 8-month stretch, he is a very valuable piece in anybody's lineup in this competition.
We're just about ready to go for game number 1. We are, of course, in Australia's favourite playground. Over 160 experiences within 30 minutes in the heart of the Gold Coast. Whether you're looking for adventure, relaxation, or a delicious dining experience, you will find it here. Where did you go this morning?
Jack, I was up at 6 a.m. I went for a walk from Surfers down to Broad Beach, came back, picked up a friend, drove down to Burleigh, had breakfast, had coffee, had a smoothie, walked to the beach at Burleigh, laid down, got some sun on my brown skin, some might say cafe au lait, did that, drove back into Surfers, all before 11 o'clock to be here in time for this game, Jack. What a morning. Where can you do that in Victoria? Can you?
Nowhere. Most of the time it's raining, that's why.
Let's not go that far. Victoria's a wonderful place.
So the break is in possession to start with. Parker Jackson Cartwright, one of the inclusions in the off-season, and here is Justinian Jessup. It might take a little while to gel with this New Zealand team, but one thing we know is that they are well coached, as Alice said. Mango Matiang on the offensive glass, had it stolen away by Mitch McCarron. And Adelaide with the opening bucket.
Mitch McCarron looks physically better this year, trimmed up, buffed up, and he's going to have his hands full defensively, not only in this game, but throughout the course of the season, because I imagine he's going to pick up a lot of the smaller point guards in the NBL, and this is one of them right here.
Jackson Cartwright lays it up. 28 years of age, won the Bundesliga MVP, and made the all-first team in 2022. So he comes with legit international credentials.
And you can see him attacking Trenton Flowers, who's trying to establish himself as a point guard of NBA caliber. Jack, this is excitement.
Nice take from Humphries. He's another one. He looks slim. He looks fit. Isaac Humphries.
Well, they have one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the world. Nick Popovich, who I was associated with 25 years ago at West Sydney. Chief tries to get on the rack there. I was associated with him in West Sydney. He's been Brian Gorgin's go-to strength and conditioning coach over the past 20, 25 years also. And if nothing else, he will make sure his charges are physically prepared. And if you look at that Adelaide team, they do look much better than in previous seasons. We've already mentioned Humphries and McCarron. Wiley looks trim. And it's so important, Jack. I mean, we don't want to be overly superficial here, but it's a physical sport.
And it's a physical league. And I think that's one thing that we learned, even from the two games that we saw yesterday, that Melbourne, Brisbane, Tasmania, Southeast Melbourne, they all wanted to play a physical style.
But it's not enough just to be big and brawny. You've got to be able to move with that physical presence as well, because it's a very agile league and one that plays at a fast pace with quick players. Great dime.
Jamal Franklin off the Isaac Humphries pass. Some nice early possessions for Adelaide offensively. The 6-4 early stages. We talk about highlights for this season. Zylan Cheatham comes to the league with big, big raps and an even better highlight reel.
Well, we're saying this about 2 or 3 guys per team now, and Alice mentioned in her opening monologue that, you know, Trenton Flowers, what he was doing in warm-ups, I would have paid $20 just to watch 5 minutes of that.
Woo! That's nice. That's very nice.
Threw it up top, and as a small guard,
and here's that pressure.
I talked about it, and, you know, Flowers at 6'7", 6'8", it's easy to say that you're a point guard. It's hard to go out there and actually be one. And people sniff it out if they think that you might be a little bit suspect. So I'm really keen to see Flowers develop in this game.
Keep talking about that. So do you mean the ball handling, the decision making?
No.
What are you talking about there?
Just because you bring the ball up the court doesn't make you a point guard, Jack. And I like how you lead me into that. You know it's a trigger point again. Just because you advance the ball, there's a difference between a ball carrier and a point guard. I'm talking about somebody who earns the respect of his teammates, who his teammates look towards in times of trouble. They look to him for leadership, and that's going to be what scouts will be looking for from Trenton Flowers. Can he run a team? Can he direct the show out there? Can he generate tempo both offensively and defensively?
As part of his desire to play for Adelaide and to be a next star is to become a point guard with NBA aspirations. Franklin off the back of the rim. And Flowers can reset. 9 on the shot clock. The double comes. And the turnover follows up. It hasn't taken long for the Breakers to settle in defensively. And Jamal Franklin whistled for the foul.
Now, I joked, and we talked about the upcoming 400th game for Thomas Abercrombie. But make no mistake, the way he looks, Jack, he could play another 3 years.
Yeah.
He could get to 500.
He's 36.
Plenty of time. I played till I was 39. I mean, maybe the last 2 years weren't the best. But
You told me we don't talk about the last 2 years. Jessup inside for Matiang. The Mango Matiang story is going to be a really interesting one this year. New Zealand have gone to market and put their faith in Mango to be their starting centre. That's a big call from Moti Mayor.
it didn't really seem like he got the full opportunity last season. He showed signs where he was coming through, but I just don't think they had the rotations worked out last year at Illawarra, correct? And look, that's always not to the fault of the player. Sometimes that's on the coach to work these things out, and sometimes you just don't fit the style that that coach wants you to play, but he certainly looks good here. We know he can play the game, and it's just a matter of, is he going to be charged up and focused throughout the course of the next 6 months?
Averaged 7.5 points a game, 5 rebounds last season at Illawarra. Humphrey short on the three. Jackson Cartwright is fouled. Only the first quarter, but we like what we see so far from Parker Jackson Cartwright. And New Zealand coming off a championship series last season against Sydney. As Derek said, it went all the way to Game 5 and right down to the last few minutes of it. They'll be keen to get themselves back into that top 4 again. 2 more for Jackson Cartwright. He's the leading scorer early on with 6.
Well, these little guards, we saw Jordan Crawford last night being able to create space for his own shot or set up advantage situations for his teammates, and Cartwright looks no different. Guys that small, you know, they're so skilled and able to do so many things, and it's a given that they're probably going to be very good athletes and quick with the basketball, low center of gravity.
Jason Kadee checks in for the first time, as does Sunday Detch. Jason back to the future in many respects, 2012 to 2014. Played with the Adelaide 36ers here in the Hungry Jacks NBL. Smart, savvy decision by the 36ers front office to get his experience and basketball IQ. Jessup doesn't get that one to roll.
That was a nice move. It was a mature move. He drew contact. Could have gotten a foul call, and Kadee does what he likes to do, put pressure on the rim. Surprisingly, off of his right hand. Normally that's a left-hand dribble push, but nice start for Jason Kadee off the bench.
Played his winter up here in NBL 1 North, won the MVP. Had a 50-piece at one stage during that season.
Wiley wants the ball inside on Jessup, and
stolen by Jackson Cartwright. Here comes Cheatham. That pass just a little too high. But it was on.
It was, and sometimes, though, I think there's almost an overusage of the lob when there could have been a very, very easy alternative route to deliver the ball for still a pretty spectacular play.
Five minutes to play in the opening quarter. New Zealand lead by 4. Flowers one end to the other. Hard off the glass, couldn't finish off, and the Breakers push the tempo. Delaney inside for Pinot. And Breakers will retain possession. Let's get courtside to Alice Kunek. Derek?
Alice, what do you think about Trenton Flowers? He's very dynamic and athletic. Look, he's had a little bit of trouble bringing the ball up, but you can see the promise there. That last drive was full of energy, just lost a little bit of control. But what's it feel like to you over there near the Sixers bench?
Look, he's obviously an absolutely incredible athlete, and I think the sky's the limit for Trenton Flowers. But I think I'd like to see a little bit more of that composure. I'd like to see them get the ball through hands. And obviously when Jason Caddy's out there, the team just looks a little bit more composed and together as a group. But obviously he's got heaps of potential, and I think once he can, there we go, Jason, lovely. I think once he can get that composure and get that skill set, you know, the sky's the limit for it. He'll be a great player.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes, you know, it's like walking into a party. Sometimes it takes you a bit of time to get the feel for the room and understand how everybody's moving. And the timing of basketball is really difficult, especially when you're hitting the floor for the first time and nerves come into play. You know, and again, we have to keep in mind he's only a young player, but I really like his energy. I like his length, and obviously we've touched on his athleticism, which is at the super elite level.
So a timeout called by New Zealand. Adelaide have cut this back to 2. Jackson Cartwright, the leading scorer in the game, has 6 early on for New Zealand. Adelaide have shared their scoring around as well. There's CJ Bruton entering year 3 of his 3-year deal coaching this team. How important is the first month for Adelaide?
Vital. I feel that the foundation there, and not because of any particular reason or person or anything like that. It's just more as a group, they haven't had much success recently, so the foundation is not stable, Jack. It's not like a New Zealand or a Melbourne, you know. They haven't had any recent success. So I'm sure CJ understands that the early weeks of the season, they need to be really proficient, and they want to be able to determine what their style of play, what their identity is as a team.
Let's check in with Alice Koenig. You were listening into the 36ers timeout.
Yeah, look, CJ was really composed in his timeout. I'd kind of noticed as I was watching the game that their spacing was really off, and that's the first thing he said. He said, we're too crowded, we're on top of each other, we've got to really space the floor, and he wants the ball to move one side to the second side, get on balls, then get downhill, get into the rim.
She's going well, our girl.
Yeah, she's finding her way, you know. Back here after a stint in Europe, getting back into the Aussie lifestyle. Kadee lets one rip.
Isaiah Liafa in for his first minutes of the game.
And good recognition from Jason Kadee. He's got 2 layups right away. Why not? You're playing a little bit of house money. Let one fly. See if you can really get cooking.
Oh, Pinot kicks it back out for Liafa. Shot clock down at 3. And Kadee's having an impact since he came into the game. 36ers trail by 2. First minutes for Kyron Galloway as well. And Kadee pulls the trigger, and Adelaide take the lead.
And Jack, I was just watching that possession. There is no weak link on that basketball floor right now, and that's a testament to how strong this league is. I can't see one person who is not capable of playing good basketball. There it is.
Here's Jacob Wiley running the floor. They're enjoying a good couple of minutes here, the 36ers.
Well, it's been sparked by the insertion of Jason Kadee into the lineup. He's getting that ball where it needs to be. And Cartwright just continues to be a pest. And that's how Will McDowell-White described him pregame, a pest, offensively and defensively.
Free throws for the 36ers.
Teams playing against Jordan Crawford and Jackson Cartwright, they really are going to have to have their on ball and their dribble handoff schemes down pat. Otherwise, both of those coaches, Scott Roth and Modi Mayor, they will hit you with it and hit you with it. They have no shame in exploiting your weaknesses. As Bill Belichick always said, it's not the coach's job to stop his own team. If we kick your butts with something, that's what we're here to do. And I like that from those coaches. A lot of coaches don't go that way. They want to get fancy and change it up. And I'm all about, like, hey, let's work that thing until they stop us. Now, in this environment, in this context, in the blitz, okay, maybe you short circuit a little bit earlier because you don't want to show too much. But
Sunday Detch at the top of the key.
Got to have a conversation, Jack. Refs coming together to talk this one over. Jackie Porter.
Feel like that might have caught a New Zealand hand last. Jackie Dover just having a conversation with Alex McEwen.
Sorry, Jackie. Dover. We knew that. Uh-oh.
Finn Delaney whistled for a little hands foul. Cairns and Perth to come later on this afternoon. You'll be in commentary for that game as well. Derek, it's hard to know what to expect with the Cairns Taipans, but it's very exciting.
See, again, this is that bias, Jack, that you have against teams that are outside of the big cities.
It.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Stop
it totally
saying
is.
that garbage.
Has Adam Ford not proven himself to you?
No, I'm on board. I've said that Fordy's my favourite coach in the league. I'm saying
okay.
they could be anything, the Cairns Taipans, in a positive way.
I'm just always reluctant to write them off because I just like teams that play hard. You know, you're an AFL guru. You know there's certain teams that it's really hard to write off year after year.
That's deep from the 36ers. Jamal Franklin's going to win possession back.
And I like that 40 is always bringing in young talent. So there's that air of hunger about them and hope and optimism. And it's not like they're young players where you're rolling the dice and you're wishing that I think all those guys that he's bring in generally have a chance to be very good basketball players. And Kadee feeling it.
And, of course, with 40, any coach that's got tattoos all over his arms and hands is fine by me. The 36ers lead it by 1.
I must say, Jack, these games were 2 and a bit games in, and the quality of the games have far exceeded what I'd expected coming down. I think the guys' commitment level and their intent to achieve objectives is very high.
I must admit, I was really surprised yesterday with the intensity of the two games.
Yes.
Normally, I mean, you well know you played in a heap of them. Normally, in the preseason, it's just stretch the legs and test a few schemes out and that sort of thing. The two games we saw yesterday felt like regular season games.
Well, especially the Brisbane game, like Rob Lowe and Nathan Sobey were going after each other, and it was not only just one isolated incident, it kind of carried throughout the game. And the one thing that it seems that the guys are not showing any desire to enter self-preservation mode even this close to the season, which is something that you find in games like this and events like this. But it's, full credit to them, and I think the harder you can go and toe that line of regular season intensity, the better off you are. But you've got to do it within the construct of trying to play together as a team.
So what's that mindset like?
You got to love the game.
You got to
love the game,
So look
Jack.
at a situation today, someone like New Zealand who are going to have a pretty set starting 5. So if you're someone like a Dane Pinot or a Cam Glidden who you're not part of the starting rotation, but you want minutes, like, does every minute matter in a situation here like the Blitz?
Well, I think so, especially if you can come away doing something positive that really shows what your primary reason for usage is during the season to help the team. So Cam Glidden, if you're coming out here and you're going 0 of 5, and Modi wants you to knock down shots, or Modi's little sticking point with Cam is always his defense and leaving shooters and how he helps off of the ball. Oh, good rebound, Kadee. It's those things. So I think, when we see Cam Glidden getting dragged, and it's usually because of defensive errors. So reduce those errors here and show the coach that it's early in the season. You know what? I'm locked in. I'm locked in. I'm better in that capacity this year than I was last year. But yet I can still knock down the shot, and I can be a good leader out there. So I would say that's probably something that Cam Glidden would be really good for him.
Jamal Franklin can't finish off. He's had a couple of opportunities in this first quarter. Liafa with numbers against him. Here's Max Darling, who's returning to the NBL with the New Zealand Breakers.
New contract.
Spent a little bit of time with Illawarra as a development player. Liafa has to shoot. Kadee has 7 points, is Adelaide's leading scorer. Flashes to the basket, and a late whistle comes. Free throws for Jason Kadee.
Was a late whistle. I thought he wasn't going to get the call. He probably should have made the layup. But a nice cut, good pass there.
Just veteran smarts. Right place at the right time.
Put the left elbow into the torso of the help side defender, which made it look like he got fouled way harder than he actually did. Smart vet play. Acting goes into basketball, Jack. It's a part of the game. Don't forget it.
Was that what you were sort of angling for post-basketball career? Was a career in the acting side of things?
Jack, during my career, I starred in a feature film.
You what?
I starred in a feature film.
Hang on.
Don't look for it. It's not on Netflix, trust me.
We're going to talk about this at quarter time.
Yeah.
Trust me, I will not be forgetting that little piece of information.
I'm trying to, trust me.
Shot clock and game clock almost as one. Cheatham, top of the key, nice touch.
Very good stroke. Sunday he's not aware of the time.
Quarter time at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. 17 apiece between the Adelaide 36ers and the New Zealand Breakers. We are here in Australia's favourite playground, the only destination where you can watch world-class basketball, hike through ancient rainforest, sip cocktails by a luxurious pool, basically live the life that Derek Rucker lives. What did you like from the opening quarter?
I like the fact that teams were focused on trying to move the ball. One of my pet peeves, especially when you're trying to establish your identity, your persona. I know I use those words a lot, but they're so key to successful basketball. But one of the things that really bothers me is when you're impatient and you don't allow your system, you don't allow your team concepts and first principles to come to fruition by short-circuiting offensive sets. And I thought both teams did a really good job of getting in the paint, trying to make plays for each other, just playing good, exciting, fundamentally sound basketball. That's how you win games or give yourself the best chance to win games.
Jason Kadee, the leading scorer for Adelaide. He's got 9. Scorers shared around after that for the New Zealand Breakers. Parker Jackson-Cartwright has 8 and Zylan Cheatham has 5. So the 2 new imports for New Zealand have started well. Just before we welcome in our very special guest, can I just get some clarity on you starring in a feature film? Can you just explain that to the global audience we have here on KO Freebies?
Sure, I was one of the lead characters in a movie called Living Color. I don't think it was distributed widely, Jack. I'm not sure you can find it anywhere. I pray to God that you can't find it anywhere. Every now and then it pops up. I think Channel 9 showed it a few years ago.
Did they?
Yeah.
In a rain break at the cricket or something like that? Is that where it bobbed up? Or just after Lethal Weapon 1, 2, and 3?
Let's just say, the Academy won't be calling me anytime soon for any type of, long service.
Well, I highly doubt that our next guest has been in a feature film, but I could be surprised. He is the new CEO of the Hungry Jacks NBL. Dave Stevenson joins us in commentary. Dave, have you been in a feature film?
No, I haven't, Jack, but I never knew that about you, Derek.
Yeah, 1991, David, and welcome.
Thank you.
And we spoke briefly yesterday, but from a player's perspective, a former player's perspective, full credit goes out to you, management, everyone that's come on board and getting NBL 24 up and running. I haven't said it publicly, but this is probably the most organized in so many aspects of the league that we've ever been. So full credit to you guys right off the bat.
Thank you, but I think the team deserve all the credit because no one person's made this league, but many people will continue to make the league what it is today. So I'm proud to play my small part.
Plenty of things to talk to you about this quarter, Dave. Before we go any further, Alice Kunik, you're listening into the Breakers at quarter time.
Yeah, Modi brought his team in really close and just said, we're just almost there defensively. We've almost got the rebound, then we don't. We've almost played great defense, then we foul. He wants more intensity in the defense and then conversely in the offensive end. He wants them to play with purpose, move the ball and attack the rim.
And Alice, just while we've got you, you haven't been in a feature film as well. We've been talking about that with Derek and his acting career. Any acting that you need to tell us about?
For Derek or myself?
Yourself.
Acting, no, I'll keep that to Derek. I think he's the pro at that one. So you know what? I'll stick to playing basketball and being a great courtside presenter.
I never should have brought that up.
No, I know. It's too late now.
You're never going to live it down now, are you?
It's too late now, Derek. It's out in the public.
He even tried today at the beach to really put on a show. He asked me to film something for his archives, but I said, you know what, maybe later.
Jessup is fouled. 3 ball goes, 1 to come. Justinian Jessup on the line for a 4-point play. So, Dave, we're here at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. We were just about sold out yesterday, a little over 4,200. Another great crowd in today. I think it's fair to say that in the first day and a half, the uptake's been really good from the Gold Coast fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've sold almost twice as many tickets to this Blitz as we have for any other Blitz. And we're only on day 2. So as this thing builds over the course of the week, what we asked of the Gold Coast communities, come and vote for your feet. If you love basketball, you love NBL, you'd love to have a team here, come along, and they've answered that in droves.
And one of the things, Dave, you've been over to Las Vegas and you've seen how the Summer League works. One of the things about this is there's a lot going on outside the court, like out in the hallways. There are people talking, so you don't get a true indication from the visual what's actually going on here, but there's a lot of stuff going on outside that makes this an experience also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that in a couple of ways. It's not just for the fans, if you can see the zones that are outside, the buzz that's around, the players that they're running into, but also it's kind of the business of basketball.
Yes.
So all of those free agency conversations,
yes.
the eye of the NBA scouts who are obviously here, it's the front officers meeting. It's great to see that.
Well, I've seen 2 people that I hadn't seen in 22, 23 years again. So, you know, there is that.
Who is that?
Nick Popovich. Yeah. Nick is the strength conditioning coach for the Adelaide 36ers.
Yeah.
Mentioned him early on the telecast. So, you know, just getting to reconnect with people, it just adds so much to this experience and why it's so important from a human element.
Absolutely. So one of the things that, we invited up Ray Borner and paid for him to come up. Obviously, we're playing for something for him, but just to be able to spend some time. We saw Brian Curl yesterday, legends of the game. It's been amazing to see them.
Timeout called here by Adelaide. Some problems with their ball handling, Derek. It's something that you were talking about coming into today, the way that they're looking after the ball, and 3 straight turnovers at that end of the floor.
And CJ is going to have to be very decisive over the next 6 to 7 days about who is our main ball handler. I understand that they're trying to promote Trenton Flowers as a ball handler. And look, he's got natural capabilities to do that, but where's his confidence at? And preseason games to the Blitz to the regular season, those are 3 different levels. And in the interim, while Trenton is learning, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Kadee or McCarron do more of the primary ball handling.
25-19, Breakers leading the Adelaide 36ers. Still to come this afternoon, Perth and Cairns on KO Freebies. Alice, you were listening to CJ Bruton.
CJ was very relaxed in his timeout. He firstly just said, guys, we need to relax. He said when they come down the floor, he really wants them to trap that first possession. But this play now, they're going to set a step-up screen now for Mitch McCarron. So we'll see, okay.
Oh.
It's Humphreys all the way to the cup. Will be on the free throw line. So, Dave, the obvious question that I'm getting from a lot of people, and I'm sure that you're getting from even more, because you're far more important, is...
I'm not sure, but no one's more important than you, Jack.
Is a Gold Coast team here in the Hungry Jacks NBL, and I'm guessing that the Blitz is a fair bit about testing the waters.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we did in Tassie when we took the Blitz down there, it was exactly that, to try and see what the level of interest is. Again, to be able to see those numbers of ticket sales, the broadcasters being good, but but also corporate Gold Coast has come out as well. So all the signs are positive, but there's a couple of other elements. We always talk about the fan engagement, and we're seeing that firsthand, the business, and then most importantly, facilities as well. And so it's been a great venue, but we'd love a bigger venue.
Okay. Well, and in that regard, what type of size is ideal, Dave, do you think?
I think in the 10,000 zone.
Right. Okay.
We had some good conversations with the council. They've just finished an expressions of interest for a 10,000 seat stadium, which just shut 4 days ago. So they're reviewing those tenders now, but that would be good.
Jackson Cartwright can't finish, and Max Darling there to clean it up. Breakers are putting their foot down in this second quarter, and it's all starting at the defensive end of the floor. Adelaide give the ball back once again. Matiang rolls to the cup. That soft touch doesn't go. And that'll be an offensive foul on Nick Marshall for a push-off.
And Jack, that's going to be 9 turnovers in 12 minutes of action.
That's a lot. It's a lot in a short space of time. And the problems that have been discussed in the preseason with Adelaide are starting to rear their heads against one of the best defensive teams in the competition. So 10,000 seats, that's the magic number?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. It gives us a chance to build in, but it's also the location of that venue. What we love about playing here is, you're right at Broadbeach, you've got the trams out the front, you've got the casino next door, it's perfect location. So I think it's not just about the size, but it's also the location. There's a great statistic I heard yesterday that when we had the Gold Coast Blaze here, there was 1,000 local players, and now there's 10,000 in the Gold Coast region. So it just gives you a good base of the level of interest in basketball.
Another turnover for the 36ers. Jacob Wiley trying to get Isaac Humphries involved.
And I would love to have a talk with CJ Bruton about these turnovers, because I know it'd be eating him up inside as a former point guard. But how many is he willing to live with of a certain type? Because you got to break these turnovers. Wow.
Jackson Cartwright now into double figures. Has 12 and is the game's leading scorer. He's got some tricks.
That through the legs move was elite.
Pretty quick first step too.
Trenton Flowers gets upstairs. His first field goal of the afternoon. How would you describe your basketballing prowess, Dave? Were you a hooper back in the day?
A little bit. I was mainly a volleyballer in the national team.
Okay.
But certainly fair to say that I don't have the hops that some of the boys out here have.
There are certain hops required in volleyball, though, aren't there?
Big time. Big time.
At 6'4", I was the shortest on the team, so some bigger boys than me.
Max Darling, we mentioned, making his return to the Hungry Jacks NBL. 14 games with Illawarra, the 2020-21 season. Just coming off winning a championship, Derek, in the NZ NBL with Canterbury. He's a big boy, big, strong, powerful athlete.
Certainly is. And, I think he would be really eager.
See, this is what happens, Dave, when you do commentary with Derek, is he gets distracted very easily by people who want his autograph.
Well, Jack, when people, you know this as a bald man, when people touch your head, it's a very sensitive thing, right? Dori Kardahi giving me a little head caress there, totally distracted me. But I would think Max would be keen to get himself right. He came over with some accolades in his previous stint, and now that he's been able to land himself back in the competition, he needs to have an impact. That's a good pass.
Galloway, quick release three, and that's deep. Jackson Cartwright has the ball on a string. He's doing as he pleases. That time, a little off balance. 32-23, the Breakers lead over the 36ers. Who are having a lot of struggles in this second quarter.
Even though that was a miss by Mitch McCarron, that's what he's got to get back to doing. Not doubting himself on the catch and shoot threes. That ball was swung to him in good rotation, just like that. And that's what Cam Glidden needs to do to earn minutes on the court. But that's good basketball by both teams, generating good looks for good basketball players and good shooters. And you know, that was the thing last year. I think Mitch McCarron most of the year shot the ball at about 18 or 19% from the three, far below what his talent levels kind of indicate he should be at. I've actually had some off-season discussions with him and said, you know, you just got to get the right mindset. Shooting's a tough thing, but if you don't have belief and aggression when you go up to shoot that ball along with extreme focus, it's hard because you're going to miss most of them.
One thing he does certainly look is fit.
Yeah, it looks much better.
He's lost the handle there. Another turnover for the 36ers.
But his intent was right there, Jack. He was trying to hit the right seam.
Alex McNaught checking in. Shot clock at 10.
Oh, my God.
Cheatham up top. Knocked one down from that spot already. That's his second.
And that's all Jackson Cartwright. Got in the paint, sucked all the defense in, and created that bing-bing play.
It's now a 15-point lead for New Zealand. So, Dave, you've been in the role for a little while. You've been around to a lot of the clubs. What's the general vibe and the general feeling heading into NBL 24?
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of bullish optimism. You know, when you look at all of our metrics, whether it's broadcast, attendance, you know, engagement on our website, they're all 30, 40% up. And I think when you sort of look at that growth and you say, hey, are we getting flat line anytime soon? And all of the clubs, you know, we've met with all 10, are all like, hey, we only feel like we're just starting on this thing. So the level of growth and participation, the interest in the NBA, obviously our players doing so well, and good to see DJ get an opportunity too overnight. So all of the whole ecosystem is coming together and providing some pretty good tailwinds. Derek, I'd ask you, who are you looking pretty strong for this season? Who's your tip?
This must be Kill Derek weekend.
No, I'm giving you a chance.
That's what you do in that chair. You give opinions. You've been doing this a while now. Wow. You know how this works.
The CEO hit me with who I think. I got no alternative. I want to keep my job but to come up with an answer right here. So, Dave, I think really it's going to be hard for anybody to go past the Sydney Kings. And I had a good chat with my former roommate, Bruce Bolden, last night, and he assured me that Jonah is ready to go. Yeah. And I have always said, even pre-conversation with Bruce last night, I said if Jonah Bolden can give you 75% of his potential, Sydney are going to be really, really hard. And I know ex-Cooks trying to replace him is a big one, because when your best player is your best motor, that's so invaluable. But I think there's enough. They brought enough other pieces to make up for that. And they've been really smart with how they put their basketball personnel together over the past 3 years. It's just not because of Xavier Cooks. He played a huge part. It's not just because of Jalen Adams or Derek Walton Jr. It's all the pieces they put in. Angus Glover was one of the big keys for them being championship winners last year. He was doubled over in the back in late in Game 5 after taking that shot to the sternum. Yeah. Remember, Jack?
Yeah, I do.
And he found the resolve to get back out there on the court. Glidden's lining him up. Glover found a way to get back out on the floor and hit some big buckets late, which were instrumental in that comeback in Game 5.
This is getting nasty now for the 36ers.
Yeah.
45-23. CJ Bruton burns another timeout. New Zealand, on the other hand, on the positive, looks slick. They look like a well-oiled machine right now.
That's true, and they're very well coached. Like, there's little slippage. Look at that huddle. When you look at the strength of a team, I'm analyzing look at them. They're all locked in. They are all bent over, trying to get within earshot of what Modi is saying. That's respect. That's command of a huddle. That's how you get down as a winning outfit. And, you know, people like Derek, why are you so obsessive about energy and things like that? Because it matters.
Yeah. Little things are the big things, aren't they?
Look at that huddle. They have not broken the bond. They have not broken that circle or oval, and they're into it.
It's a lot like a lot of the meetings that Dave runs in the NBL office. Everyone's really locked in.
Exactly.
And can you keep that up? Can you keep that up for the whole season?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I think if you well, Dave, it's exceptional leadership, right? It's more than sport in this instance. You know, you could probably take a guy like Modi Mayor and move him into a different industry, and he's going to be successful once he figures out what's going on with that industry because he's got the first principles, as Elon Musk talks about. He's got those first principles. He knows what it takes to get success out of people.
Alice Kunek courtside, listening into the Adelaide 36ers timeout. Is CJ still composed?
Actually, surprisingly, very composed. He said to his team, you know, come in closer. We just have to chip away every single possession. He mentioned that ghost screen that New Zealand are running, so they're coming up to the pick and they're slipping out and they're getting that three-point shot. But can I just say how impressed I am with New Zealand? Stacked roster, they share the ball, they move the ball, they play as a team, and Jackson Cartwright is just picking apart this Adelaide defense.
Dave, I don't know if we're allowed to ask you for your prediction, but Alice is making a pretty good case for the New Zealand Breakers.
I think I'm always going to bet with Alice, so I'll follow her.
That's a good answer.
and talking about growing in confidence, Jack, Alice is really starting to find her feet already. Might have to slow her down. She's up in Queensland. She might start biting off of some of my sandwich up there. Slow her down a little.
Ankle mislead, Derek. You've got to take your chances out here.
I love that. I love that.
Wow.
Derek's got a film career that he's got to prosper too.
I can fall back on that.
Career.
I just looked you up on IMDb. You didn't show up anywhere, so.
Oh, no, I've just seen some notifications. I think somebody's tweeted the link.
Yeah, not just somebody, the voice of New Zealand basketball, Andrew Mulligan. Shout out to you, Moles, who's watching on KO Freebies and on YouTube. Galloway steps into the three. That's good. Coming into this season, Kyron Galloway, we've seen Jalen start to emerge for Sydney. It's Kyron Galloway's time now in Adelaide.
Well, Jalen Galloway, again, another key member of that. Oh, hello.
Get that out
right
of
on cue, Jack. Jalen is a vital part of that Sydney bench, and Kyron had a pretty good NBL 1 season. He's a good athlete. There's no reason he can't progress in a similar manner, and I wouldn't be surprised if,
off the inbound, Tom Abercrombie.
When you look at Galloway's body, you need to find minutes for an athlete like that. You've got to figure it out and be willing to live with probably some growing pains, but with the expectation that the upside is going to be very unique.
Offensive rebound by McCarron. Shares it back with Humphries, and Franklin can help it in. So, from your perspective, Dave, what does the next 6 months look like? Obviously, getting the season away to a good start is one of them.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. We obviously, people call it the off season. I don't love that term. We talk a lot more about the prep season because that's our busy time because we get all the preparation right, then it makes the execution a lot easier. So, we'll get into the first game on the 28th, and no doubt there'll be lots of things that'll work well and some things that haven't. We've got to twist and turn and make sure we address those. But then it's really how do we deliver, how do we build a crescendo to the finals, but also how do we look forward to next year so that we're not just living week by week, we're actually thinking about a year or two in advance.
No pressure on Liam Santamaria, but 8 next stars.
Amazing.
That's the bar now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think I was looking at the rankings this morning. 4 of the 8 are now projecting the top 11.
Wow.
So we've never had a class like that before. So I think for Liam and Jeremy, they've done a wonderful job.
One of the next stars not playing today, Mantas Rubstavicius, out with a calf injury. And Finn Delaney with another 2, and the Breakers are past 50 in the opening half, which is a big, big number.
It's good to see Finn Delaney back.
Just means so much to New Zealand basketball, Finn. They've had some great off-season signings, Derek, but when the signature of Finn Delaney was announced, it was, to borrow an Andrew Mulligan term, it was pandemonium with Breakers fans.
It was, and look at him. He's just a smart player defensively. Look at that. That's great one-on-one defense against a pretty talented offensive player, and Finn can give you that. He can guard up. He guarded down right there on a smaller Sunday desk. And I think he's a little bit more advanced offensively now, too, than he was in his younger days, and physically. He's a very strong athlete and really suits what this team is about. I just think it's a very authentic team based on how Modi Mayor coaches. There's just a real honesty and an integrity there that is going to put them in a good position anywhere they play, and that's the objective. Anywhere you drop my team, can we perform? And I think New Zealand are one of those teams. Jack, I'm reevaluating my top 4.
It sounds
you guys
like
sent,
it.
y'all. I don't know why you guys sent that email out so late. It was bad timing on the email.
Just
I'm passing
backtracking a bit here.
Yeah, I really am going to have to. I went Tasmania, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth as my top 4. And Alice and I have been talking about it too. Like, it's very hard to leave New Zealand out, but at the same time, it's very hard to leave Tasmania out.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough when we went over to Auckland to spend a few hours with the Breakers, and we saw half an hour of Modi's training.
Yes.
And the intensity and the clear directions were just incredible. And it was their first day of training, having the whole team together. But just very clear in his messaging. Didn't say a lot of words, but everybody knew exactly their role. But the intensity was like game day.
See, I love that. You know, and it made. And here's the thing, it doesn't suit every player. Every player isn't down for that type of scrutiny. Isn't down for that day-to-day level of perfection seeking. But I love that as a player. And in a way, when you can establish that, and that word gets out about your program, it actually makes it quite easy to recruit, because the pretenders don't want any of that.
Yeah. And they recruit that way, don't they?
Yep.
So there's a lot for you to do, Dave. Another thing is we take a look at some highlights here from the first half. There's a nice finish from Trenton Flowers. One thing that's going to be a key pillar, I guess, in the next 6 months will be the broadcast deal and the way that everything shapes up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the reality is, we grew our broadcast audience 40% last year. And so where the league is now compared to where it was 3 years ago when that deal was done is very different. And if you look at a tenure of a deal that might be 3 or 5 years, if you grew even at 30% year on year, then in 5 years' time, our audience would be almost 4 times what it is today. So those conversations with the broadcasters aren't just about, hey, what does that broadcast look like, but it's what's the support around the shoulder programs, it's what's the promotional, it's how do we get them to know more about the players and create those heroes, because we think we've got a pretty amazing product. So getting that balance right between the authentic connection that we love with ESPN, obviously KO and Foxtel are incredible, they're the home of sport. And then with a good partner like Channel 10, and how do we get that mass free-to-air audience connected to our game? It's a bit of a complex Rubik's Cube, but I think we're going to end up with a pretty good solution.
Well, we love the access and the instant access that KO and the NBL app provide, because last night after the game, I was able to go home and analyze and evaluate Jack's performance quite quickly. It was really good like that.
And out of 10, what did you give him?
Jack never bottoms out at anything lower than 8.8.
Oh,
That lunch will be on me today.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Funny how I'm working both games, Dave, and I don't finish till 7 or something. So, yeah, nice one, Jack.
I'll get you dinner then. You'll be under control. You'll be sorted out. You're too kind. We talk about some milestones coming up this year. Tom Abercrombie, we mentioned a little earlier, game number 400 in round 1 of the Hungry Jacks NBL season. That's just another big story that we're going to have from the opening round.
Yeah, he's been an institution, hasn't he, for the Breakers?
And again, we were talking about the type of player that Modi Mayor obviously likes to get into that program, but there's also a fundamental basis, like you have to be a good person. And Thomas Abercrombie, that's what he's all about. Flowers, not a bad stroke. Not a bad stroke. Good technique.
Your first look at him so far, what do you think?
It is, other than highlights, but getting to see him in person is a total different look, and I like it. Look.
Speaking of shooters,
yeah,
Justin Jessup does that for a career.
Once he figures out how to get this ball up the court against smaller guards and into offense and initiating the offense, Flowers is going to be fine. But you keep in mind, at the NBA level, what these scouts are looking at, that advancing the ball up the court isn't as much of a factor. They don't pressure the ball up the floor like we do here in the NBL or FIBA. So when you're evaluating him, that isn't weighted too heavily against a lot of the other stuff.
Dave, we know you've got a busy week here at the NBL Blitz, so thank you for stopping by, and best of luck in the new role.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, Jack.
Great
Thanks,
having
Derek.
you.
It's a pleasure to spend some time with you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Half-time here at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. It's 56-36. The Breakers in control over the Adelaide 36ers. We'll be back to chat about it next on KO Freebies.
This is excitement. Must take from in the NBL, and this is one of them right here.
Speaking of
our game is made for moments. We stop at nothing, on or off the court, here and abroad. Every fan, every game, every experience. From game-winning buzzer beaters to posterizing dunks. The immeasurable passion and fierce rivalries. Every legacy, every team, and the strive for greatness. No matter the moment, it all matters to us. Hungry Jacks NBL. Every moment matters.
I came for an exhilarating experience. Bit of an exhilarating experience today, you know. Getting to get on the rides and stuff like that. So it was awesome to get out there and, you know, feel like a kid again, I guess. That's a one and done for me. I'm not gonna lie, that took it all the way out of me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice place to be. It's obviously got nice beaches and nice weather. Always a good destination to visit.
Don't miss a moment of NBL action. On the court, away from the court, exclusive access, player interviews, free agency moves, next stars, and much more. The NBL's YouTube channel is your one-stop shop for all things NBL 24. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to find out all the latest news as it happens. Search NBL on YouTube to get watching. LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey, Usman Jeng. The NBL's Next Stars program has become an elite pathway to the NBA. But who's got next in NBL 24? Hook Porty, Flowers, Johnson, Klintman, Rubstavicius, Saar, Tui, Zakarski. Who will shine brightest? Find out more at nbl.com.au/nextstars.
If you like good weather, good food, good vibes, it's everything all in one.
First shot gotta go in. Camera doesn't know where the ball went. Would they say I'm a good golfer? I'd say I'm better than the average person, but I'm not a good golfer. There's never not anything to do. Like, we got Top Golf here, there's Movie World right across the road, plenty of beaches in the Gold Coast. unlimited restaurants. The Gold Coast is super nice and you can't really complain about anything out here. And there's a heat check right here. Bow! There it goes, right there, side by side.
Half-time at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. The New Zealand Breakers had a big second quarter. They lead 56-36 over the Adelaide 36ers. Alice Kunik alongside me in commentary. Alice, that was a seriously impressive quarter from the Breakers.
Absolutely. I mean, their defensive pressure is absolutely relentless, and I can't imagine what their trainings would look like. It must just be, they must be going at each other from start to finish. But Adelaide need to find their feet here in this game. They obviously don't have that true point guard. I think the team looks a lot better when Kadhi's out on the floor, so I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Maybe push Flowers to the 2, get him to find his rhythm, find his feet in this league, and then just calm themselves as a team. I think once they can find that point guard to really control the ship, steady the ship, they'll be in good hands.
So from a New Zealand point of view, is that something coming in that they would have identified? Let's attack that ball carrier in the backcourt?
Absolutely. Jackson Cartwright has been absolutely relentless at Flowers. He hasn't given him anything. And conversely, down the other end, he's attacking that paint. He's picking apart their defense, finding his players, attacking on the rim. It's been really nice to watch the way they share the ball, the way they move the ball. Modi, he's so supportive of his team. He wants them to just, and I listened on the other end, he wants them to just fix the little things, clean up those offensive boards, clean up those little things. They could honestly be up by 30 right now.
From an Adelaide point of view, what needs to change in this third quarter?
I'd love to see Jason Kadhi starting in the one-man. I think take the pressure off Flowers. I think move the ball. I'd like to see them kick the ball up the floor a little bit more instead of dribble, because that's exactly what game New Zealand want them to play. That's easy for them to play. So I think if they can get Kadhi in that one, push the ball, and they've just got to make shots. The aim of the game is to put the ball in the basket. So I think if they can make some shots, it takes the pressure off them on the offensive end. They can play better defense down the defensive end.
And more composure, you were saying as well.
Absolutely. You know, I think he's getting a little bit rattled, and, you know, he is a highlight reel. He's incredible to watch, but take yourself away from that and focus on what you've got to do. Get the ball to the right people. Play really good defense. Stay composed. He's young, but he will find his way.
Third quarter's coming up next on KO Freebies at the main break. It's the Breakers who lead 56-36.
LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey, Usman Jeng. The NBL's Next Stars program has become an elite pathway to the NBA. But who's got next in NBL 24? Hook Porty, Flowers, Johnson, Clintman, Rubstavicius, Saar, Tui, Zakarski. Who will shine brightest? Find out more at nbl.com.au/nextstars.
If you like good weather, good food, good vibes, it's everything all in one.
First shot gotta go in. Camera doesn't know where the ball went. Would they say I'm a good golfer? I'd say I'm better than the average person, but I'm not a good golfer. There's never not anything to do. Like, we got Top Golf here, there's Movie World right across the road, plenty of beaches in the Gold Coast, unlimited restaurants. The Gold Coast is super nice and you can't really complain about anything out here. And there's a heat check right here. Bow! There it goes, right there, side by side.
Great to have your company on KO Freebies. It's halftime at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. Third quarter not too far away. It's the Breakers who lead 56-36 over the Adelaide 36ers. Jack Heverin in commentary alongside Derek Rucker, Alice Kunek courtside. Still to come later on this afternoon, it will be the Perth Wildcats taking on the Cairns Taipans. That game, and of course every game across the NBL Blitz, you're going to see live and free on KO Freebies. Ruck, let's talk about the 36ers. What needs to change in this third quarter, because it really got away from them in that second quarter?
It did, and I think CJ is going to really have a look at what is working defensively, and they need to just get a little bit more solid with their construct on both ends of the floor. And look, you know what's always going to kill you is 14 turnovers in one half of basketball. 14 turnovers by the Sixers would have led to, man, I say at least 25 points on the other end. A lot of those were run-out layups, lobs for dunks. All type of stuff was happening on the other end as a result of those turnovers. So they're starting Mitch McCarron. Well, he started the first half too, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts off handling the ball a little bit more. It's a tough situation because you want to try and develop Flowers as a point guard, but you can't have bringing up the ball turnovers, leading to easy opportunities, and jeopardize your team's success at the same time. You got it, Jack.
Now, we've got a number of special guests joining us across this next week here on KO Freebies here at the NBL Blitz. But it is our absolute pleasure to welcome in one of the great coaches that this league has seen, and a man who knows the Adelaide 36ers very well, Joey Wright. Joey, great to have you in commentary.
Thanks for having me in, Jack, and Derek both. Thanks for being here.
What are you seeing so far in this game?
Well, I haven't been here long, so I've just only seen a bit of it. But with Flowers and those early turnovers, it's gonna definitely affect how you get out there and play. But it's a part of it. He needs to get through this. It's the blitz. It doesn't mean much. Run him at that position as much as you can and try to get through this. Get him ready for the season.
From a New Zealand point of view, we've said in commentary they look pretty organised. They look pretty well drilled.
Yeah, they will be. Moldy is a great coach, and he's going to make sure these guys are drilled and ready to play as they need to be.
And Joey, I played for you for 3 years, so I know you love an athletic, physical, tough team.
We're going to get to that too.
And look at New Zealand. When you look at them, the way they move, and this guy right here, Joey, this guy right there can get that ball to places on the floor.
Oh, really?
With Jackson Cartwright. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with him, but if you tell me he's a player, I definitely know he is.
He generates a lot of activity for this team already. He's got 12 points, 3 boards, a couple of assists already in the first half, and then probably the stats aren't really indicating the impact he had in the first half. But, Joey, I know when you look out there, you must love what you see physically.
I love what he had last year as well, and that may be the makeup of what Moldy's going to do, bring in athletic, big guys that can move and play different positions. But his teams are always going to be tough because he demands that. He's a really good coach. I was very impressed with him last year.
As a coach, Joey, how did you normally approach the NBL Blitz? What were you trying to get out of your group in the lead up to the start of the season?
Derek talked a little bit about this before. We're definitely not coming to win, all right? So the players, I always want my players to play like they want to win, but as coaches, we don't coach to win. So you may run a guy at a position for a whole quarter to see if he's going to be able to handle it. You may play a guy, run a 2-2-1 press just to see if you can work on it. So coaches typically aren't coaching to win. Players, I always believe when you touch that court, you play with all your heart, no matter if it's preseason, first game, end of the game, whatever it is. And that way you never have to change your temperament. It's just one temperament all the time.
We're talking a lot in the 2 games that we saw yesterday, and this one as well, that it doesn't feel like the Blitz is just a walkthrough for the team so far. It started at a pretty high intensity.
Well, when you bring in a lot of new players, as it is in the league this year, everybody's out there to impress. New coaches and new players are always trying to get things done whenever they can. So it is a lot of new faces in the league this year. It's a few new coaches as well, and usually they push a little bit harder earlier. We know the Blitz don't mean much as far as who wins.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always loved the Blitz from the social side of it. It was always good to catch up with people, and especially as I got older.
What a surprise. Derek says he wants to go somewhere for the social side of things.
He's not social. He's not social at all. Get that, Jacob.
Is that just your life? Like, is life just one big social event for you?
It's a bit of a complex question.
And probably not for air. It's probably not for air.
It's a bit of a tricky one, Jack. I quite haven't figured it out. Look, Adelaide have done a good job in the first couple of minutes here, kind of changing up the tempo and forcing New Zealand. Oh, nice move, Humphries.
He's been aggressive, Isaac Humphries.
Nice move.
Joey, I said some players, they're short-circuited in terms of success by their health, and I think Isaac Humphries is one of those guys. Remember that year when he was down with Adelaide, maybe 2 years ago? He had a really good year, then he got hurt.
Yeah.
They had the Twin Towers down there, remember?
You need consistency. You can't have a guy for, a great guy for 10 games or 15 games or 20 games. You need him for the season.
Yeah.
Because, 1 or 2 games can cost you a position and cost you a playoff. So you want someone out there, it's guys that have been in this league over the years that are consistently hurt. I had to learn that the hard way, recruiting guys that way. And, guys that are going to be hurt are always going to be hurt. And some guys that never miss, and guess what? They'll never miss. So if you have the advantage, you recruit those guys that are going to be on the court.
Humphries being a big guy, though, Joe, you know how sometimes they may not hit their really good physical health stretch, sometimes late 20s, early 30s.
Well, usually 30 is when they learn the game. Late 20s, 30 is when they learn the game. Now, physically being in shape, or not necessarily being in shape, but being healthy, I think that's a mindset as much as it is a physical thing. And if you don't have it by 30, I don't know if you're going to get it by 30.
Jeez, way to hang in there with him, Joey.
I want him on the court.
Delaney for 3, that's wild.
It's good to see Delaney back this year. Great to see him back this year.
Trenton Flowers troubled out of it by Jackson Cartwright.
Tough little fella, huh?
He steps out of bounds.
Yeah. I like him.
It's very interesting. I love watching the little guy go against the tall point. It's very interesting.
Well, what I would do in this situation, obviously the little guy has the advantage in the backcourt, Jack. But what I'm doing is when we get down to the other side, we're going to flip the ball a couple times, and we're going to dive him to the block. We're going to post him up a few times. So
see how committed he is down on that block.
Let's see right there on that flex cut.
Yes, go right in the block.
Just stop him there and put him on that block a few times. Let's play advantage against advantage, see what happens.
As Humphries dives to the basket and adds in 2 more. 16 points now for Isaac Humphries to go with 5 rebounds.
He's moving well. He's moving real well.
That's the other thing that we're just talking about with Isaac there too, Derek and Joey. Abercrombie for 3. He's still only 25 years of age. He's been to the NBA, he's been to a couple of different teams, and he's still only 25.
And again, that advantage in the backcourt.
How long can you persist with this, Joey? Obviously, Flowers is struggling advancing the ball. At what point do you say cut? Because at a young kid, he's a teenager, Joey, we don't want him scarred.
You don't want to break him, yeah.
Yes. But this is starting to get to the point where this is a struggle. I would say he's probably got 5 turnovers in the backcourt.
That's a lot. Look, I felt, obviously we had Terrence Ferguson when he came over, and he was wasn't next start that time, but a one and done or whatever you want to call it. And I had to play him just enough so he looked great, but if I played him too much, he was going to be exposed.
And it's the cliff. You got to avoid. Yes. You got to avoid taking him to the cliff.
Yes, and because he's 18, and I it's hard to recover. You emotionally, it's tougher to come back when you're that young. So.
And especially now, Joey, with so much of a microscope, there's a serious spotlight on this event. It wasn't the case so much back then because the NBL didn't have that exposure. So there's probably even a heightened sensitivity to looking after to make sure, it's obvious now. It's clear that he needs work on that aspect of development.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if anybody walked away from here and they seen 5 turnovers in the backcourt, they'd be thinking, And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. Now, we do know this in the NBA. They
I
don't play
mentioned
defense
this before.
in the backcourt. So in FIBA basketball, you have to make 3 decisions before you even get to the offense. In NBA basketball, you don't have to make any decisions before you set your offense. So, you know, it's probably a little bit different for him, but still going to have to be better at it.
Liafa stripped by Kadee. Late whistle. Some hands contact.
Kadee's never fouled, ever.
Now, Joey, you've been here for best part of 10 minutes. We've sort of let this go for as long as I think I can let it go.
Here we go.
Before I ask you what it was like coaching Derek Rucker for 3 seasons.
I'll tell you what, I don't think any rookie coach could have got a better player to coach, a better player on this team for Derek. Me, Derek, and Stephen Black basically worked together. I wasn't a coach. We'd come up with offenses together. We'd come up with the game plan together. And he just got a chance to go out there and show what he could do. So it was great. It was great. And once again, as a rookie coach, it was the best thing. He could have came in with a lot of ego and said, you know, I'm going to do it this way or do it that way. But he came in and allowed me to coach him. He knew he had to play hard. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Sorry, Joey, we've got a challenge. We got it.
The coach's challenge is unsuccessful. Call on the floor will stand, and it will be 2 free throws.
And, Jack, if you'll let Joey go back to his praise of me, I appreciate that.
But, yeah, it was great. It was great. He, you know, the weird part about it, we were friends, but we never let our friendship dictate what happened on the court. I mean, I've been in his face yelling like, you know, like anybody else. You know, the Townsville spray was a pretty good one.
Yes. Yes.
But he just, you know, Derek was a professional, and that's what I always loved about you. You were a professional.
I want to get back to that Townsville spray in a second. Alice Kunek courtside, listening to the Breakers. Alice?
I won't actually say what Modi really said, but in a nutshell, it was get the ball and play offensive transition. He wasn't impressed with how he's let up offensive rebounds and not getting after the ball. See how they come back from this.
I feel like that was colourful that time.
Very colourful. Oh, gosh. It's like all the colours of the rainbow in that one.
Well, Jack, that's what I mean there. Moldy wants them to come out here and play a certain way. He's setting that tempo and tone right now. He doesn't care about winning this game, but he does care about setting the tone and tempo for how his team is going to play for the year.
66-49.
Man, I love this. I just love being in this environment, Jack, where you can talk good basketball. There's good basketball being played. There's exciting athletes out on the floor.
Look, this venue used to rock. It was a great place and a lot of fond memories here in this venue. It'd be great to have a team back here and pack this thing out. This was the LA of the league for a while. It was very nice to have a team here.
Jamal Franklin had a little trouble getting going. Played last season in the Philippines. First met CJ in 2019. They worked together at the NBA Summer League.
You guys got to remember one thing about a veteran like Franklin. This means less to him than anybody in the building. So you may see a whole different player come season. He's not out here to impress anybody.
Liafa looked to involve Cheatham and intercepted by Alex Starling. CJ Bruton wanted it to start at the defensive end of the floor. And Franklin will be called for a push-off.
Ooh, that's tough.
There are a couple of rules that we will walk through during the week, Derek, weren't we, in the referee's briefing? And one of them is that contact with that off arm, whether it's in a dribbling situation or in a shooting situation, you try and push off your defender.
It's very tough, and you know, a disciplined offensive player will be able to put that arm in an R-bar position and initiate contact without exposing how much force he's using to create separation. And that's what a smart player will do. If you're a dummy, you're just going to reach out like that, and you deserve that for not even having any awareness. But smart offensive players will still figure out.
Oh, that was one right there. That's nice. It's nice. Now, if you put that arm out and you create a low center of gravity, you'll never get that call.
Correct.
So if that player is low and that arm bar is in the hip of the defender, they'll never get that call. There you go. Get it back. Good job, Sunday.
Sunday had his hands in there. Wins possession back for the 36ers.
And this is another reason why this Next Stars program is invaluable for those players, because they learn that type of effort from Sunday Desch, which they probably wouldn't see at a high school level, because any game they're playing in, they'll probably dominate.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And you've got to learn those little things like, oh, wow, I need to, oh, boy. Just a little lack of familiarity between two players. That's not a big deal. But, you know, the young players need to learn, like, you've got to get after that ball. Sunday made about 4 effort plays there to get that ball back for his team. Could have given up after the lack of success on any 2 of those efforts, but stayed with it.
66-53 at the timeout, 3 minutes before three-quarter time. Joey, from a coaching point of view, one of the big attractions now with the Next Stars program is that teenagers can come and play against adults.
Yeah.
So with their ambitions to go to the NBA, rather than playing the college system, they come here and play against grown men. How important is that, do you think?
Look, I think your development, for me, the harder you go through your development, the easier you come out on the other end. So coming over here playing against grown men in a league like this where you're being critiqued really hard, I think it's unbelievable. I think it's great. I think it's the best way. Now, some kids just aren't tough enough to get that done, though. Flowers coming over here.
Mentally or physically, Joey, where do you think that breakdown lies?
Physically is definitely going to be a factor. If you're not physically, I mean, you're 18-year-olds, you're not going to be as physically fit as Sunday Deck. I mean, look at that guy. So you're going to, physically is always going to be a separation, but everyone knows that. It's the mental part, whether they can make that mental adjustment. That's a bigger thing. Tell you what, Sunday's come in and changed the energy a little bit in this game.
Well, it's only a 13-point game, Jack, and we saw what happened last night in the Tasmania game. It looked like Tasmania were going to run away with it, and the Phoenix came back, and then Tasmania got serious down the stretch and separated themselves. But, I wouldn't be surprised if Adelaide did the same thing. Sorry, Jack.
No, you're on. Alice Kunek, courtside. You were listening in that timeout.
Talking about comebacks, Jacob Wiley was very, very vocal in that timeout. He said to his team, how much do you want to win this game and do you want to be here? I think he's really taken a test to his team, so we'll see how they come out now.
Well, they're certainly playing with more fire in this third quarter. Cheatham backs that one down.
What I really love about New Zealand's offense, and I noticed this last year, it is a 2.5 to 3 second decision making by everybody. They're making decisions quick. They're not holding on to the ball. It's not a bunch of over dribbling. And they set screens and they use screens. You move that ball quick, set screens, use screens, you're going to always be effective. And that screening is so important, especially early in the game, early in the season. I scouted a team last year, and they initiated the game by slipping 12 of the first 15 screens they set. You are not imposing your physical presence on the game. I need my bigs to be clocking some people, hitting some people initially. Hey, the slip is the counter. We're not building our program off of slipping screens. We're building our program and potential success by getting body on body and making some shoulders shiver, rocking some people. Yeah, the go screen should be a byproduct of setting good hard screens early.
Franklin, ball in hand, 5 on the clock.
Good pass.
Starling picked up the offensive rebound, and that 3 ball's a wild one.
That's probably not Alex's forte. He's a guy that's going to get it done around the block and over the rim. Three-point line is probably not his forte.
Galloway needs to read the flight of that ball. He should have seen that was going to be an air ball. He had good weak side positioning. And again, that's a skill, anticipating where that ball is going to be. Yeah, but air ball is the hardest thing to rebound. Hardest thing to anticipate because you are waiting for it to hit that rim. And all right, we're not going to turn this into one of our phone arguments here on air in front of the whole world. But Joey, he was lined up perfectly with the ball. If you were there, would you have seen it? No.
It's the hardest thing to see. You think that thing's going to clip the rim at some point.
You're right. You would hope so at this level.
See, they just keep turning that offense. They keep cranking. They keep moving, setting good screens, and it just really wears you down. And you're going to have a mishap at some point.
Are they, in terms of organisation, Joey, New Zealand, are they right up there with one of the most structured teams with the way that they play here in the NBL?
Yeah, the Jack Jumpers and I would say New Zealand and 40 up at Cairns, they all want a real, you know what they're doing, it's just really hard to stop it. They do it so well. And he's done a great job there. Done a great job. Good job.
Last 2 minutes of the third term. Ball knocked out of bounds.
I really like the way Cheatham moves. He's quick. Does a good job of mixing up that quickness and showing you different types of quickness. If he can knock down, if he can knock down jumpers.
Marshall played through the contact, no foul.
Couple years, Nick will be turning that over and putting it. He has athleticism to dunk that thing. Good rebound.
It's a good game now.
Yeah.
Certainly been a better third quarter from Adelaide. Kadee throws it upstairs for Galloway.
Galloway's intriguing to me. He moves well, he's athletic, he seems to handle the ball well, seems to shoot well.
And I said before, Joey, before you jumped on with us, with that body and his athleticism, you know, I've got to find minutes for him and allow him to work through some things. There's too much promise. The stroke is all right.
Yeah, we had some games last year where he really knocked the shot, you know, knocked it down a few games.
Good shoulders on him.
They're a very athletic family, the Galloways.
That's strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. That's what Kadee might have to get in the weight room there.
The lead was as much as 20 for New Zealand at halftime. Adelaide have pegged things back a little bit. That rattles out for Sunday Detch.
I like him. He's a Brantley type, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. He moves well with the ball. He's athletic, strong.
And the addition of Jessup, Joey, I think is going to be a really good one. He's 2 years older than when he first entered the competition, maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
You can see his body looks different. You would think that he's not to say he was a dumb player, but he would have learned a lot about the game in his time since he initially came into the league, and the expectations and the role that he's probably going to be required to play in New Zealand are more probably suited to who he is as a player.
Well, he should get a lot of open looks with the athleticism and speed that's out there on that court. So he's got, he knocked down a few shots here and there. He can open it up for him. He'll be a good asset for them. Great asset.
It's interesting. We're so close courtside here at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. He now looks like a man, Derek.
Well, look at his upper body.
When he played in the NBL with Illawarra as a next star, he was very skinny in the shoulders and the legs. He's clearly been in the weight room the last couple of years.
And he needed it. He needed it. It was some times when he was here before where he struggled physically, and so he's obviously addressed that.
And he's really committed to staying in a stance away from the ball, and a lot of that also is strength and conditioning work. That's a nice shot right there by Kadee.
That's where you go back and get him, Kadee. Go back and get him. That's nice. Oh.
Cheatham at Galloway. Points will be waved away, and that'll be a charge.
Cheatham understands that was a bad decision right there.
Yeah, well, I knew that was a bad decision about 3.5 seconds before he did. It's like, where is he going?
Joey, we're not allowed ethically to yell out, no.
Not even what are you doing? We can't do that.
So a quarter to play, 73-59. The New Zealand Breakers lead Adelaide, but a better third quarter from the 36ers.
They cut down on the turnovers. So turnovers, they get more attempts down on the other end, and that's probably the difference.
Leading scorer in the game for Adelaide is Isaac Humphries. He's got 16. Jason Kadee has 11. Jamal Franklin up to 8. Most of those coming in the third quarter for New Zealand. Jackson Cartwright, their leading scorer, with 15. Zylan Cheatham has 11. And Cam Glidden also has 11, who shot the ball really well in the first half.
He has, and Joey, this is a tricky one right now for Modi. Up 14, first game of the stretch here at the Blitz. What do you do in this final quarter?
I'm gonna play the first half of this quarter pretty normal, and then after that, regardless, I'm gonna rest my starters. They're gonna get out of there by the
No
end.
matter what.
No matter what. I mean, it's preseason.
Yeah, but it's also becomes a question of will. Can I sit this one down? Can I sit my guys down and be willing to live with the result with my bench guys?
I don't think Baldy has any lack of confidence in his ability as a coach. Period. So
he is a fantastic coach.
He's a fantastic coach. He knows he's a fantastic coach. He is not worried about anybody in this building and what they think if New Zealand loses this game. And he put his bench in there. So I think he will be okay.
Modi Mayor entering his second season as a head coach of the New Zealand Breakers. In his first season, right, Jack? He took them to the grand final.
Sure did.
And I need to make one correction. Last night I went home, and when I was evaluating your performance, Jack, I realized that I made a mistake. I said that Milt Doyle had been with the Tasmania Jack Jumpers 2 seasons. He had actually been there with only 1 season. Josh Adams was the 2 guard in that first championship series appearance.
It's nice to hear you say that you were wrong as well,
Yes.
Derek.
That's the first time I've heard that, Jack.
Stop it.
That's the first time I've heard that, and I've known him for 20-plus years. And it's the first time that's ever come out. The therapy's working.
Wow.
We got to
Jesus Christ.
The therapy is working.
Can we talk about the Townsville spray now?
Well, look, he took that. Well, all of them got one. I went down the line. It wasn't just him, but the fact that he was the leader and the captain of the team.
Yes.
He took it, and so that meant everybody else had to take it.
In hindsight, he was 100% right, Jack.
In hindsight, you see that the therapy is Jack. The therapy is really working.
That 20
That's
years
twice.
on.
That's twice now.
I know Kadee wanted that one to go down. That would have cut that thing real quick down to 11. Look, he's hunting for it again.
Yeah.
He's hunting.
Marshall, late clock. 36ers get another look at it.
Kadee's feeling it.
Yep.
Get it back. Go to work. There you go.
Top of the key.
Yep. It's good to see. I know he's missed 2 shots there, but the body language, his intent, all that is positive from Jason Kadee.
For Jace, when I coached him, I was coaching for a couple years, just go. Just go. If he plays at high intensity, that guy is just a baller. So just is really pushing his levels, just having him go. Never letting him take a break.
And keeping him mentally challenged because he's an intelligent basketball player.
So smart.
Oh, a little reverse action there with the
that.
2-on-5 on ball. I didn't know Isaac could use that P&R like that.
That's the old Detroit Pistons. So remember, we used to run that little screen down on the block for the big. I like that. Slip the guard out.
Are we seeing Mitch McCarron play more off the ball today?
Yeah, I just wish he would. Again, when I'm talking about hunting for opportunities and making plays, and I would really like to see Mitch more involved. I think, obviously, with the push to try and see what Flowers can do at the point. Mitch obviously has moved off the ball, and I think CJ will probably see how he addresses that situation after they get through this week of games. But certainly, Joey, we'd have to see a significant turnaround by the next game from Flowers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've got to make a change by that final game of the Blitz.
What I would do with him is I would, he still can run point and he can set things up, but I don't need him to bring the ball up. Run some action and flip it to the second side and let him make a pick and roll decision on the second side. And, that he doesn't have to make a backcourt position. Can he hit those?
Not a bad looking shot.
Cheatham lets it fly. And Nick Marshall pushing the ball up the floor. Humphries again. What a performance this is from Isaac Humphries.
It's just about consistency, Jack. He is. If he's out there on that court, he's a ball player. But we need him out there on that court. We got to have him out there on that court.
Well, you put him in that same category as Tyrell Harrison from the Brisbane Bullets. What they do for their team, if you look at these guys' net ratings when they are on the court, they are off the charts. But you just lose them for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you scramble because they're so productive and efficient. And Isaac provides, like Tyrell Harrison, they can protect the rim. They're smart. They got size. They finish at a good clip around the hoop. Ooh,
that's fast.
Darling finishes off. That's fine too for Jackson Cartwright.
That's what you call a quick rip.
Yeah.
77-63 at the Convention and Exhibition Centre.
I just got a text message from Leonard Copeland, and he just remembered and reminded me that he was in on that Townsville spray as well, Jack.
Of course.
And Leonard said that he had forgotten about it. He had put it in the deep recesses of his brain due to PTSD.
Coach didn't even hear me at the time. I think he was looking at something else.
He said tears everywhere. So guys, obviously Leonard went back to his room and cried.
Yeah, for about a minute, and then he went out after that.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was fine after that.
Oh man.
That's Leonard Copeland's story. He's struggling at the beginning of the year a little bit, and I'm going to him and say, Coach, what's going on? I said, I need you to play like you've been playing. He goes, hey, I'm trying to do everything right. I'm eating right. I'm staying at home. I'm getting in bed early. I'm doing all the right stuff. And I said, what the hell are you doing that for? I said, do the same thing you've been doing the last 15 years. And he did, and he dropped 27 the next game. And after that, it was a wrap.
Yep.
You know what? There's not too many coaches that would tell their player, no, go out.
The product had been working for it.
Oh, my goodness.
Jesus
Christ, did you see that?
Oh, wow.
Silent Cheatham.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh. I'm 55. I don't know if I can handle that. That is a tough.
The entire building has just gone silent after that.
Yeah.
Wow, Joey, did you see that? That has just rocked this place. And you can feel the sudden emotional change in here on the back of that play.
It did get a bit quiet in here, didn't it? Wow.
That was enormous.
Well, that made up for the charge.
We were told before he arrived
that. That's a nice ball movement.
He's going to be a highlight reel. Nice take from Dan Fotu scores.
New Zealand has a lot of bodies, Joey. A lot of live bodies, electricity running through their veins, and confident. Nice move.
That's nice. Tell you what, I'm 5 minutes though. I'm gonna probably put Humphries on the shelf right now. He's giving me a good look. He's shown what he can do, but I'm probably put him on the shelf right now.
22-7 for Humphries. Cam Glennon playing a really good role off the bench for the Breakers this afternoon. He's got 11 points.
Well, he was one of the guys that I isolated earlier, Jack, talking about how do you find a way to get court time.
Marshall off the front.
The best thing for him is signing the next star from Wollongong. What's his name?
Jessup.
Jessup. Because he'll have to bring it every game, or Jessup will be playing.
Well, we know what Cam Glidden can do from beyond the arc. And he's getting, last year he was getting a lot of criticism from Modi Mayor about his defensive positioning, how he reacted to certain ball movements. But if he can tidy that up and get more in line with what Modi wants and shoot the ball like he has today, yo, that dude's a weapon, and he's a good dude, and he provides leadership.
He does. He's consistently been a great player in this league for a long time, but last year he was a bit up and down. He's got to be more consistent. And bringing Jessup in is going to either force the pot. Like, Jessup is his style of player, so he's going to have to.
We're just having a look at this silent Cheatham replay. That is going to leave a mark.
Can you get dunk of the year in the preseason?
Well,
here it is once more. Woo! Ouch!
Gosh.
Wow.
I've just looked around. Everyone in the venue has got KO out on their phones, or they've got the NBL app, which you can download now, watching the highlights of that dunk.
And given the timing of this event, that is going to get worldwide coverage. That is elevation. That is Blake Griffin type stuff back with Lob City.
That is Blake Griffin-ish. Very Blake Griffin-ish.
Speaking of the NBL app, for all the latest news, updates, scores and highlights and more, you can download the official NBL app from the App Store and Google Play. It is, by absolutely no doubt about it, the best experience that you can have as a fan here in the NBL. Speaking of best experience, Alice Kunek courtside.
What an experience it is down in the New Zealand bench. At three-quarter time, Coach Moore said that he wasn't happy with the way they were playing. It was one and done on the offensive end. He was really impressed with how they're moving the ball, sharing the ball, and finding their open scorers. So it was a much nicer time out down here. Much less colourful.
Still to come, Perth and Cairns this afternoon.
Well, he's got that lead back up to 20, so
yeah, we got it up quick.
A little bit nicer now.
Yeah.
So what are you up to these days, Joey? What's keeping you busy?
I have a gym called Shoot HQ, a gym, 24-hour shooting gym that I run and have a really good time there. And I also have an academy called Transition Sports where we train juniors, and I'm absolutely loving it. I feel like that my ability to give and help people out get better at this game is just still available. So definitely enjoying it.
Well, Jack, when you look at, a coaching profile, some coaches are great preparers of their team. Some coaches are great in-game coaches. Nice dish there. But Joey, the thing that separated him, I thought, with his, aside from his intensity for the game, was his ability to develop players. And his fingerprints on this league go from Adam Gibson to Mitch Creek to Chris Golding. Even my development in the later stages of my career. But Mark Worthington, there's a number of guys that have gone through his development. And even in my business, Derek Rucker Basketball, I make sure there's a lot of elements of what I learned watching Joey work with younger players over the years as a pro that have impacted me. So, development is a major thing. And I always say, any level that's non-professional, if you're winning games, absent development, somewhat hollow. You've got to have development. You've got to make sure people are getting better as individual players within the team structure.
Derek, we were talking on the phone the other day about our top four. And
look, my man, these dudes, look,
New Zealand is
I've already backtracked, Joey, from that conversation. Thanks for watching.
No, you can't backtrack from that conversation. you committed hard. But New Zealand is definitely in my top four. I love the way they're going about their business.
The officials will take a look at this one.
I came here so confident about my top four and, ready to flex in March when we get to the finals. But it's New Zealand so, Joey, you would bump out Sydney, I have a feeling.
I would bump Sydney out. Sydney's such an unknown. You got a new coach, you got a new staff, and you don't have Cooks. Cooks is just, Cooks was the man, and he kept that thing together. So that's so up in the air for me. So
let's look at yours. Let's talk about your top four. Who do you got?
Well, Melbourne.
Yep.
As you know. New Zealand, I really like what they're going to do and put out there. Who was my other two? Perth. I had Perth, and I had.
It gets tough, right?
No, I didn't have New Zealand. Who was it? It was somebody else.
Tasmania?
Tasmania. I actually picked Tasmania to win the whole thing.
Oh, what?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Where did you pick this? How come this hasn't?
This Scott Roth is a master coach. He's a great coach, and he has the horses down there now.
They looked good last night offensively. I just thought like they were sharp, Jack. And again, I really like that little point guard, Jordan Crawford.
Yes. I knew him before he got here. I don't keep up with a lot of players nowadays, but that's one I knew. And when they signed him, I called Jack McVay and was like, y'all got one. That kid can ball. But Milton Doyle, to me, is best all-around player in the league.
Really?
Milton Doyle's the best all-around player in the league.
Better than Creaky.
Yeah, he can shoot that thing more consistently than Creaky. He can handle, he can run the point, he can run the three, he can run the four. And then I love Creaky.
Yeah, message incoming from Creaky for you in less than a minute.
Yeah, and it'll be tears too because he doesn't hold back much. Creaky, the first 3 or 4 years I coached him, he would, but the last 3 or 4 years he was. The Creaky think me and him friends. Talking to me like that.
Wow, so you think Milton Doyle is a
best all-around player in the league?
Okay.
Who runs the point better at that size? Who can play the three? Who can play off the ball? He gets after it defensively, makes the right pass. Never really hear any noise out of him. No negative body language. He's won. He's won every win.
You can understand why they fought so hard to get him back this season, can't you?
Hey, sometimes it comes down to the dollar, the almighty dollar, and you got to do the right thing, and but you also got to pay him. So he'd be well sought out across the world.
And it's always interesting. This is why we have guests in and to hear different perspectives because I'm clicking over hard, and when I look at great all-around players and two-way players in the competition, obviously Mitch Creek comes to my, comes to the front of my mind. Bryce Cotton obviously is a fantastic player. Probably doesn't have like the defense and the rebounding and those other attributes. But yeah, absent Xavier Cooks. Maybe Keanu Pender starts to touch in there.
Nah, they still don't have that offensive savvy that he has and control of the game that he has. Milton Doyle is a Leroy Loggins of today. Leroy did all that stuff, 20 years ago, and Milton's able to do that now. He can play any position. He defends. Just a polished player.
Yep. Let's get courtside to Alice Koenig.
Now, we've just seen New Zealand go into that 2-3 zone, which probably seems a little bit silly being up by so much, but obviously the Blitz is a really good time to practice defensive schemes, and Adelaide is struggling to score in this zone, so it's obviously working for them.
Flowers for three, that's good. That's a couple from outside.
And good recognition there from Alice because it's right in Modi. I think he did a good job last year. I think he threw some zone at Sydney in the championship series that kind of frustrated the Kings. Joey, how long does it take to get over that? I'm asking you, and I'm the loser of 2 grand finals. Anyway, how long do you think it'll take New Zealand to get over that? Because they had their hands on the trophy. They were up away from home in Sydney. The place was silent, Joey. 4 minutes ago, I think they had like an 8-point lead. What's the scarring? What's the PTSD? What's the emotional impact? How do you come back from that?
The only person to hold on to that is Moldy. That's the unfortunate part about being a leader and being the head coach is that will scar him. That would be sitting in his gut. He'd think about that, once a day, every day. But these guys right here, this is a brand new team. This is a brand new team. They'll go away. They're ball players. They'll get out there and ball it out. I don't think it'll be any emotional scarring. But look on the court right now.
You don't think there's any lingering?
Doesn't look like it to me. They're out there. They're playing in a preseason game like it's a grand final right now. The hardest they're playing. So I don't think it'll be emotional scarring by the team. I do think coaches hold on to it, though.
Let me ask you a final question in relation to that. What about when you find yourself in a similar position as a coach? How does that affect your decision-making in that moment, and what do you learn from that?
Say that again? I was just looking at it. Sorry, I got distracted.
We'll come back to it during the wrap as Jack wants to close this out, I'm sure.
101-75, the final score. The New Zealand Breakers' first outing is a very, very impressive one. And the Adelaide 36ers have had a bit of a rocky preseason so far. There are some more questions to come from this game, but on the positive end, Joey and Derek, the Breakers ticked every box.
Well, I mean, last night we saw Tasmania look very solid, cohesive on both ends of the floor, playing with intensity. I thought New Zealand took it to another level from where we saw the jack jumpers last night. And Joey, look at that squad.
I forgot about McDowell White.
Yes.
I forgot about McDowell White. Oh my God.
They are deep, all caps. Deep.
They're deep. So they're not in your top four, though.
Joe, you got to pay attention. I backtracked about an hour ago, 90 minutes ago. I had to make some amendments. I told you on the phone the other day that I was going to finalize some things at the end of the Blitz. That's why I needed to be here.
That's why you need to be here. Okay, all right. That's
part
a
of the
big backtrack, Jack. Big backtrack.
Hey, Joey, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you with us in commentary. Thanks so much for stopping by, and enjoy the Blitz.
Thank you guys for having me.
Fantastic,
Appreciate it.
man.
Thank you.
Derek, final thoughts on this one?
Again, pretty much what I expected. Outstanding performance by the New Zealand Breakers. They look ready to go. I think Modi would have seen enough right here to not really even be concerned about the rest of it. It would be self-preservation, maintaining intensity from those people that hit the floor. Adelaide, obviously, there's some concerns, primarily with ball handling, distribution of the ball, execution. They've got to figure out what they're going to do with that lead guard position and who's going to ignite their offense.
We'll get a chance to look at them in a couple of days, but how does CJ Bruton, this is a big loss first up. It is the Blitz and it is preseason, but it is a big margin at the same time. How does CJ Bruton react to this performance?
Well, I think it's going to be, he's got to come up with something decisive in terms of who he's going to play and how those guys are going to play roles. And I think CJ has learned from the past 2 years when his teams won it that it has very little bearing on regular season success. However, how they lost this game is not a good sign for starting off the season. High turnovers. What did they shoot from the field? You know, they didn't shoot it too badly. They're at 45%, but they were at 22% from the three, which was a major weakness last year. So it's the turnovers and the poor three-point shooting, which are really big tells and something that they've got to correct and address really, really quickly.
So the Breakers win it 101-75 at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. We will be back in about half an hour from now. Derek, you'll be back. Lee Montagna and Alice Koenig to join you as well for the Cairns Taipans and the Perth Wildcats. Don't go too far. You're watching the NBL Blitz on KO Freebies.
To cut the lights in 5, 4, 3. Oh, the light doctor Nashi is in the house. It's time for game 2. Day 2, game 2. It's the Cairns Taipans and the Perth Wildcats. Let's welcome the Cairns Taipans.